Okay, our seventh rule with regard to grammar has to do with leading into a quotation with your own words first and a comma. One of the biggest problems that students do when they write using research is they just like start with a quotation mark and then go right into people's other words without even introducing us to who they are. So the example that I wrote here was according to Howard Gardner, and then I did my little comma right there. Quotation mark, people learn in many different ways known as multiple intelligences. And actually, there was a pause there. So I made sure to maintain the pause from the quote, which is why teachers should use many different ways to introduce material to students. Now, I kind of retract what I said there. Howard Gardner never actually said these words. I just made up a quote that he said, but I wanted to make sure that you knew how to lead into a quote with your own words. Um, so the basically it comes down to this: always lead into the quotation with your own words. Second, you should have a pause there, which is why you have the comma, and then you should quotation mark and anything that the author had to say. And then leading out, if there's a pause there, you should definitely put the comma there as a pause, or if there had been a period there, you replace the period with a comma in this case. And that's another rule we're going to get to later. But if it flows with your sentence, you don't need to put that comma there. That's kind of it's all about like, does it flow with your own sentence? Nonetheless, I feel like the easiest thing to do would be to write your own example. And for me, it's like um, as Mr. West once said, comma, um, it's time for Mr. No, I was going to say it's time for Mr. Bailey to get a new job. But actually, what he said was cell phones are not allowed in school. And that's a good way to lead into the quote. There it is. You've got the comma said cell phones. There it is. But always lead into a quote of research or what somebody said with your own words. That'll make your life easier. There's an exception with dialogue, and we'll talk about that later, but this is generally a good rule to follow, especially when you're talking about research.